Hi, welcome back to Rohrich Knows Podcast, helping you become a better and more informed you. Let's talk about fillers, but not placing them, but removing them. It's the current craze, or crazy. So why are people removing fillers? Because it's the recent fad. So why are they even doing that? I mean, it is so crazy. And, you know, it's been subtitled The Curse of the Pillow Face. Well, one of the main reasons people are doing it is because people were overdoing it a year or two ago, and people look different. They look strange. And strange is not the end game. The pillow face, the Madonna pillow face, that overdone and overswept look that gives you, you know, the cheeks are protruding out so far that you can barely see your eyelids. And, you know, you can see this typified in the photos of Madonna and Nicole Kidman, who is beautiful, and she just had, you know, totally overdone fillers. And of course, Kylie Jenner, and it goes on and on and on. Britney Spears, all of these patients that are beautiful. I mean, all these people are beautiful, but they were overdone. So what is going on here? You know, and I always think, you know, these people, these famous stars, they have the most resources, but what they're lacking, I think, is someone to say, no, don't do it, or enough is enough. Because you can go from aging to a reasonably good result with fillers to overdone and overfilled. And, you know, the consequences make you not look good. Bulging forehead, temples, overdone avatar noses, big bee-sting lips, chins that are just outrageous, and the pillow face. You know, you're overdone. You're overdone, Brad Pitt. I mean, it's not a good look. And so there are 10 reasons for excess facial fillers. So too much was done in one setting. That's always a no-no if you just pile in filler after filler. And no sense of aesthetics. And the other thing is, people thought that fillers need to be redone every 6 or 12 months. Well, fillers last a lot longer than you think. Many last years and years. And some of them are not totally resorbable. That's number 4. And we've now shown that they can obstruct your lymphatic vessels, so especially around the eyes, so these are not reversible. So all of this comes down to lack of aesthetic judgment. Your injector, remember, is the key to your success or failure. And then it comes down to outright greed. Greed of the injector, greed of saying, hey, I'm just going to do the filler. I will tell you, when patients come to my office, I usually inject half of the things that they want, whether it's a filler or a neuromodulator. I just say, hey, let's go slow. Let's just inject this, like in the lips, 1 cc. Let's see you in 6-8 weeks or 2 months and see how you like it. Most of the time they say, wow, I love it. It's only getting better. Then the other thing is the inexperience of the injector, and then the improper technique and the technology used for them. And all of this comes around to, you got to have a smart and experienced filler that's going to be also ethical. And all of this comes around that one thing, and the ability to understand what is the end point in the aging process. So Courtney Cox, you know, in 2015 was overfilled, and now she got it dissolved. And she looks better. She looks like herself, and I think that's a good thing. The key for true facial augmentation is fat grafting. Now, granted, fat grafting, it's the best filler by far, but it is autologous and it usually requires a sterile setting. I usually do it in the operating room. And this just typifies a patient that has fat grafting with facial aging, with a facelift. It's beautiful. You know, you're lifting and filling and you're getting a natural result. You're replacing like with like. Central facial fat grafting in the cheeks, the eyelid areas after a facelift, all these things are natural. Lift and fill with central facial fat augmentation is the beautiful shape and outcome. And that's really what you want to strive for, is a natural looking face. Remember, don't do strange, don't do crazy. Do what works and works well and looks like it's natural. The best facelift is one that doesn't look like it's been done. And it really works well in revision facelift patients, which we see a lot of in Dallas. Centrally filling the face, shaping it and contouring, and then adding facial fat is beautiful. So facial fat is the key if you want to get both longevity and great natural looking rejuvenation, because if it's properly placed, it works beautifully, like in this one, as this woman. And I'll just refer you to a recent podcast I did on Ask Dr. Rohrich and facial fat grafting, because I get a lot of patients that ask me all the time about, am I a candidate for facial fat grafting? Yes or no? And if you have panfacial atrophy, I would say you're an optimal candidate for facial fat grafting. If you have panfacial fat atrophy and sagging, you're a candidate for a facelift with selective fat grafting. Many patients are candidates for just selective fat grafting if they're under 40. And, you know, the list goes on, who finally, you know, from Yolanda Hadid to Courtney Cox to Kylie Jenner, all of them who've decided less is more and finally have gotten at least part of their fillers removed. And, you know, whether Angelina Jolie has had fillers or more, obviously, I'll leave it to you to decide that. So some guidelines for natural appearing facial fillers. Here they are. Less is more. Don't do it. If a patient has jowls, don't do fillers. It makes them look like they're a Stay Puft marshmallow. Use the right HA filler with the right G prime, meaning you got to understand the rheology of each filler, because a different filler is used in the temple, the cheek, the lip, completely different, the nose. And the 1 cc rule. You know, it's rare to put more than 1 cc in one area, like in the lips, the cheeks. Don't do crazy stuff. Don't put in 5, 6 cc's. I saw a lady recently that had 5 cc's in each cheek. It took me a month and a half to melt most of it out. It's terrible. And she was in total agony. And now she looks more like herself after 5 sessions of melting the HA filler. So the 1 cc rule, 1 cc for the lips, 1 cc for each of the cheek, jawline, temple areas. And remember, less is more. And almost never do the tear troughs. And for the dorsum of the nose, please find an expert, because that's a high risk area for skin necrosis or blindness. So know before you go. So the key is, if you have jowls, don't do filler. You need a facelift with selective fat grafting. That is so important. Here's a beautiful patient that just had a liquid, lack of a better word. She had selective facial fat, facial fillers in her cheeks, her lips, and neuromodulators. She looks beautiful. And she just had, I think she had 3 cc's total, 1 in each cheek and then 1 in the lips. And she looks beautiful. So less is more. 1 cc in the lips, looks beautiful, looks natural. Modest filler is key. This was done in the dorsum of the nose just for shaping. She'd had 3 previous rhinoplasties done elsewhere, and I just did 0.6 cc's of Restylane to her dorsum. Less is more. So 7 keys for natural looking facial fillers. Obviously, less is more. I've said it 3 times. Go slow and inject if needed, and follow up in 4 to 6 weeks or 4 weeks or 4 months later. Understand how the face ages. Begin with the upper outer face first and move to the lower face. Use a proper G prime filler. Take photos and analyze the pre and post filler, because if you do, you probably won't inject anymore, especially in your follow-up visit. And then follow the patients and see how they look. Have them show you photos and see how they animate and how they look. That is so critically important. So hopefully this has been good advice for you when you get on your journey for looking as good as you can be, but also looking as natural as you can be. Leave me your comments and thoughts. Have a great one.